They hail from around the globe, and though separated by oceans, they gather in the virtual world for reasons as varied as their locales. Whether it's a defending champion looking to retain his title, a new and eager hopeful striving for recognition, or a legend prepared to recapture past glory, in the end, the one goal they all share is to win. But when naming a victor, only one driver's name can be etched into the record books. You're watching the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour.
Avocado with jam, salt on watermelon, sauerkraut and cheese. Strange combinations all, but wonderful combinations nevertheless. Add to the list one of the slowest cars on the iRacing service, put on a very fast roval, and you have another wonderful combination? Well, that's open to debate. Close racing in store? No debate there. A photo finish? More than likely. The Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour comes to the World Center of Speed. It's round 7 from Daytona. And you can see all the simulated Mazda action from green flag to Victory Donuts live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello from the Sunshine State and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. Way up in the press box to bring you our bird's eye view is yours truly, Bill Soups On, joined by the fan belt himself, Johan van de Velde. Joe Peak has director duties armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. Johan, Alanis Morissette's 1996 hit song, Ironic, could use a rewrite, as she forgot to mention the irony that the flattest state in America has the most famous high-bank racetrack in the world. Tell us about Daytona.
Yeah, the backdrop of today is one of the most iconic racetracks in the United States, Daytona. The track is mostly known for NASCAR's Daytona 500 each year, but today we don't look at the oval, we look at Daytona's road course. This version of the track was built together with the rest of the venue in 1959 and is nowadays mostly known for the Rolex 24 and Daytona. This 6.40 kilometer track has two phases, so to speak. There's a very long oval section stretching nearly all the way around and a tight and difficult infield section thrown in with several hairpins. The most important corner at the road course is probably turn 6. That's the last infield corner going onto the oval. A good exit here determines if you're able to attack the driver in front or if you're gonna get passed by the driver behind. As in NASCAR, draft will be incredibly important today for the MX-5s. If you want to break the draft towards your rivals behind, you have to be perfect in the infield section, as the bus stop chicane and the infield section is where it is very important to be perfect in the infield section and the bus stop chicane. The line between being perfect there and losing time is very, very thin. Now, normally we go now to a lap guide of the MX-5, but unfortunately we have to left the keys in the ignition, so the battery is dead. So luckily there was a spare Skippy standing around. We hop in that for a lap around Daytona.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yammer to the GSRC Skippy, so let's do a lap around Daytona. Around the tri-oval and into turn 1, most cars require you to swing wide for the entry, but the underpowered Skippy is still fast hugging the inside line. You'll let it drift out after braking and kind of take it as a double apex corner. The extra speed from the draft will probably make it easy to overshoot into there, so expect some big mistakes by drivers. Weave through the chicane and then after the pit exit, bring the car all the way to the left. The International Horseshoe will offer a place to pass, and if you can get it done, try your best to pull away or else your opponent will just slipstream by once again on the oval. Be sure to square off the exit for better speed up to the next horseshoe. After that, ease the car across the track, and without much oomph, you're going to easily hold the pedal flat to the floor through the kink. Try to get the car off of the left for braking into the western horseshoe. The tricky part about this bend is the way the track sharpens in the middle but widens on entry and exit. It honestly makes it very tough to get the car down to the apex. Bring it off to the right and then really focus on hitting your mark into turn 6. This is a critical corner because being late onto the power as you come to the oval will mean you'll lose time hand over fist. There's not much to say about the banking because you'll only get up to about 120 miles an hour when by yourself. Smooth out your inputs and hug the double yellow line. Skipping ahead to the bus stop, though this is a popular spot for overtakes, this double chicane often causes problems when cars enter too wide. Cut course penalties can also cost you dearly, so take it to the edge at your peril. Once again, the sooner you can put your right foot down, the better off your laps will be as we now hit NASCAR 3 and 4. From here to the start-finish line, you'll just hold down to the inside. As I mentioned before, draft battles will make up a big chunk of the race, and you may have to play it more strategic than gutsy. But now that we've hit the tri-oval once more, you've now finished a lap around Daytona.
Joe Peak talking us around Daytona. And you know what? As much as we'd like to give you a lap guide in the car we're actually racing, that open cockpit here at Daytona really gives you a good view of what the track is really like. Let's go ahead and give you a view of what the point standings are like. Now, we look at these right now. Sonny Catch Me If You Can has 3 wins. Robert Hartley has 2, but also a pair of no-shows. And like Harry Potter spell against Voldemort, the magic of the no-show compensation can only do so much, resulting in Ketchen return to his familiar position atop the point standings. Marcelo Pajan also has a win. He sits in 3rd. As for Stelian Chepelewski, the GSRC stat boys Simon and Poindexter say he deserves a German flag. The graphic department, Andy and Jackson, say it should be from Bulgaria. One thing for certain is Cheppy is fast as he pushes series veteran Travis Swenke out of 4th to the bottom of the chart. All right, now Johan gets to talk about a really exciting championship, and that's the AM guys that we've been following. Johan?
Yeah, and basically the whole season so far is the same name on top, Kip Stevens. Now, Kip is doing such an incredible job that it's not... was that. The Sheriff Jordy Fike has 80 career starts, 4 most of any active driver, and currently he lost 1 position last time around, but he's still sitting strong P3 in the overall standings. Erik Koeman is changing his last name a little bit to Erik Koolman at this moment, because the hot start that he had at the beginning of the season is not that hot anymore. A few bad results are just letting him fall down the standings a little bit. And P5, man, that's a hard battle. Björn de Vos gaining 2 positions since last time, but Stef Veenop and Robert Wielinga aren't far behind. It's very close for a top 5 position in the M category.
There you have it. So 2 championships to follow, the pros and the AMs, both really exciting. Let's go over something a little less exciting. That's those event details that we do for the new viewers. Johan?
Yeah, this is season 16 of the Heusinkveld MWT, round 7 of an 11-round season. Now, you already mentioned it before, Bill. There's 3 no-show compensations in this format. That basically means that if the driver misses a race, he or she is compensated with a percentage of the driver's average race finish. So it's not entirely a drop week, but it comes a little bit close. You still get a few points. Today, Daytona, the race distance will be 20 laps with open setups. That means that the drivers can change the Mazdas just to the liking, and they will make 1 pit stop in those 20 laps. There's no incident cap, but there are miles per incident bonus points. So that means that at the end of the season, there's points up for grabs for the drivers that have not had a lot of incidents in the season. Now, Daytona means that we're at a roval, and that also means that there's a few extra specific rules about this track, probably regarding that big yellow line that you see there on the bottom of Robert Hartley's car. There's basically a rule. In the oval section, you cannot put any part of your car below the yellow line to make a pass. If any part of your car is below the line, you're considered to be off the circuit, and drivers are actually encouraged to treat it as a wall. You cannot pass the wall and the yellow line. However, once you are past the paint for the pit lane entry, you are free to choose the line. So below the line, to try and overtake, to try to defend your position, it is allowed. But before you reach the pit lane entry, that yellow line is a no-go zone.
Okay, I think I got it. There's a double yellow line you can't go under until you get past the pit entry there, down into the grassy section, and then you can do it. Got it. All right, let's go ahead. We've got taken care of most of the business. Let's see what's going on with the business of qualifying right now. Very late to the session. We were a little bit worried, Johan, was Robert Hartley, but I guess he knows the track. He's come in, sitting second.
I mean, that sounds really impressive. Eh? He's already P2 with a 209.6. But just remember that, as you say, Bill, he was late in practice. He didn't even set a single practice lap time. So that first lap that he does is immediately good enough for P2 on the grid. That's really impressive, just hopping in and immediately outperforming your car. Good stuff from Robert Hartley. Currently in P3, Stefan Overgaard is sitting there. He's sitting 7/10 behind Sonny Kenshin. But it's very close between him and David Hampson. Marcelo Pagnan is still in P5. I think that the Italian will move up further as he is currently going out of the infield section onto the oval.
Well, it's always nice to qualify well. As long as you're anywhere up near the front, I think you got a good chance of staying in the draft. This is kind of the ultimate draft track. But I guess, Johan, there are some places where maybe you could lose somebody.
Yeah, I think that this track is really almost like a NASCAR race, especially the infield section. The whole area from turn 6 to turn 1, basically the whole part on the oval, you'll see packs of cars. It's very difficult to actually lose your opponents there and very easy to get overtaken. But the infield section, that is basically made in such a way that only a single foul is really beneficial. If you start to go side by side there, you lose a lot of time. And I think that especially in that infield section, you see several drivers just lose connection to the rest of the pack in such a way that they won't be able to really recover that lost ground once they reach the oval.
I'd like to put the camera on the driver currently in 8th position, car number 41, Tom Ratchey. Up as he's going to actually park the car right now as he's done with his qualifying time. The reason I want to talk about the Bay State Hammer, I think this could be his race. I'm picking a dark horse. He has raced in 140-plus races, has yet to find a win. Always somewhere around the top 5, top 10 in there somewhere. I think the nature of this race today is going to be not so much about speed, but, well, how can I put this? Maybe wisdom. I think some of the age of Tom Ratchey is going to find himself in the hunt for the win and see if he can position his car and steal one today. We're looking at Bob Hartley.
Yeah, you're taking the words from my mouth there. Like, I don't think that speed here necessarily will determine who will win the race. Like you say, it is probably wisdom. Knowing where to position your car all throughout the race. Basically, say the first 18 of the 20 laps, so you are up the front of the field, you stay out of trouble, and at the same time you're saving fuel. And also in the last few laps, when you have to make up the track position and really set yourself up for that last dash towards the finish line, that will be very, very important. Now, one driver that I kind of want to put the emphasis on, Erik Koeman at the moment. He's sitting in P7. Erik, of course, is an amateur driver at this moment. He is in front, together with Björn de Vos, in front of 2 pro drivers. So normally we kind of see a beautiful even split between pro and amateur drivers. That's not the case this time around, with 2 Benelux amateur drivers really sneaking up the field.
Absolutely. Relatively small field in respect to what the MWT usually puts out. Gives me an opportunity to talk about the point system. It's a rationed point system. You get 100 points for winning. You get 25 points for finishing last, whether you're in a field of 50 or a field of, well, I guess 5. It's 25 for last, 100 for first, and then they spread it out equally amongst them. So you really don't benefit if you're a back marker back there. You pick up a few more points for every position you pass, but you're still looking at 25 if you're at the back of the field. Looking at Robert Hartley, who managed to put himself on the pole. Yeah, whatever that's worth, yeah.
Yeah, let's see if he actually... No, he actually had an off-track early in the lap, so... That lap actually didn't help him. But to be honest, behind him, he's not really being put under pressure. Sonny Kenshin is doing donuts. Gene Fittis is going in the pits, and it seems like most drivers actually have finished their qualifying and are ready for the race. I see Kip Stevens and Joe McDonald still out on track now. I don't know if they're actually on quick lap times at the moment. But it seems like most drivers are done with their quali.
And as qualifying is done, it's just about time to get to the starting grid. Heusinkveld offers a broad array of products and services, including advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware, and sponsors on practically every major team in sim racing today. If you're looking for an edge in racing, get in touch today at Heusinkveld.com. We're looking there at the beautiful Daytona Speedway. We fly over. How about a quick peek of the weather? We haven't talked about that yet. What do you think, Johan? I know it's in Fahrenheit. Can you do the conversion?
Yeah, it's a 23 degrees Celsius ambient and 25 degrees Celsius track temperature. I think that's actually quite okay as morning condition or late afternoon conditions for the drivers here. So I don't think they should struggle too much with high tires.
All right. With a standing start, let's go ahead and get to the starting group. We'll take it a row at a time. We have time. Robert Hartley and Sonny Katchen is your front row, Johan.
Yeah, row 2 is being filled by Gene Fides and Stefan Overgaard.
The Italian Marcelo Pajan in 5th. He's going to be flanked by David Hampson.
Erik Koeman, the amateur driver, starts on the inside of row 4. Next to him, Björn de Vors.
My dark horse, the base 8 hammer, Tom Ratchie in 9th. Jean-Franz Pagnan in 10th.
The 11 goes to Jordi Fike, and he's being followed by Stefan Veenhoff in P12.
In the Baker's dozen spot, it's our top rookie, Kip Stevens. He's going to be inside of Derek Holland.
The last few drivers on the grid are Joe McDonald in P15, Jeroen Oersum in P16. The McDonald's livery cars never be able to split from each other, and Nick Berry is the last driver on the grid in P17.
It will be fun to watch McDonald and Ursum as they go together. They usually have the same pace back of the back. We'll tune in on them a few times during the race. All right, it is round number 7 here for the MX-5 World Tour. 16 seasons they have been with GSRC since season number 5. You can see the shadows from the grandstands cast on the cars. You can hear the little engine starting to harmonize. You know what to do. Gather at the chickens, take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn. Some of them got a little bit sideways as a standing start on the banking was interesting. Robert Hartley out in front. Jeroen Ursum, Stefan Overgaard in 3rd, fending off Gene Fides as they go side by side. Fides is going to get the best of that one, I think. Watching on from 5th position is, that'd be Hampson.
Yeah, he immediately loses that position to Marcelo Pagnan, the Italian driver. Gets that P5 position away in its single file as we predicted through the infield section, basically all the way around except Kip Stevens, Esther Veenhoff. We're going side by side for the International Horseshoe.
All the drivers hoping to stay in the tow as long as they can. Now down into the right-hand horseshoe. Not surprisingly, it is Sonny Katchen chasing Robert Hartley.
And as they get out of the infield section now, let's see how big that draft is. How many of the drivers can actually bunch up towards each other and really create a pack going forward. I think that this really separates the top group from the rest of the group. So going out of the oval, I'm looking at it. It's very close between Kip Stevens and Jordi Fike as well. There's a battle for, I think, P10 at this moment. But at the same time, Erik Koeman has fallen down tremendously down the order. Erik Koeman was the pole sitter in the amateur category. He's currently driving in 15th overall.
My sleeper pick, Tom Ratchie, has lost touch with the French driver Jean-Franc Pignot. They work their way through the bus stop. It looks like it's going to be an 8-car train.
Yeah, and it seems like Björn de Vors as well is just losing connection a little bit with David Hampson. For the moment, it seems like it's a 6-car group on top. Robert Hartley is still on the lead, but Sonny Katchen is getting close. Gene Fides and Stefan Overgaard are following behind. Marcelo Pagnan is behind that. David Hampson is just struggling around in P6, going side by side at the moment, Bill.
And so now the rule for the yellow line doesn't apply, right? Is that my understanding? That Katchen can put the car anywhere he wants right now as he's taken over the lead, ducking down to the inside. Going to take another peek at it, going really wide on the outside. That was Overgaard.
Yeah, and it was Marcelo Pagnan who really profited from that rule that you can go under the yellow line, because he made 2 overtaking maneuvers doing that. He got by Stefan Overgaard and Gene Fides. So the Italian just sitting strong in P3.
As they kind of spread out on the oval, it let de Vors get back in there. He's now hanging on to the back of Hampson, so it's a 7-car train. The Frenchman in 8th having trouble.
Yeah, it seems like Jean-Franc Pagnan is a little bit too far behind to really keep up with the rest of the field at this moment. But of course, in this hairpins, when they brake, they will lose a lot of time, especially if there's a little gap behind. The car behind can just brake towards them, but that's helping Björn de Vors, especially at the moment. The amateur driver is able to really keep up with the pro drivers again. And he is 100% in the drafters to get on the oval.
Single files, they come out onto the oval for the second time. And honestly, they're a little closer this time coming out for lap 2 than they were for lap 1.
Yeah, especially Marcelo Pagnan seems a little bit quick at the moment. He's both quicker than Sonny Kenshin and Robert Hartley in front of him. Let's see if one of the drivers actually tries to go for an overtake in the bus stop chicane. Stefan Overgaard as well, just very quick, but it seems like no one actually wants to make that overtaking maneuver stick, just afraid of overcooking their overtake into the bus stop chicane and then losing connection to the rest of the cars behind. They seem to prefer to wait until they reach the infield section.
That was a great camera angle as we rode on board with Bjorn de Force through the bus stop. He's in 7th, hanging on to the front train. Currently led by Sonny Kenchme if you catch him. 7 cars up front. It's about a second back to Pignot. Tom Ratchey hanging in there as well in 8th.
Some bump drafting going on there between Pagnan and Sonny Kenshin over the start-finish line, but it's Robert Hartley on the inside to get that position. So Hartley back to P1. Stefan Overgaard tries to move around the outside of Marcelo Pagnan. Doesn't pay off. Almost, yeah, that leaves him open for a move with Gene Fitters there. And this is not a fun section in this MX-5. The car doesn't really want to go over those bumps. Gene Fitters around the outside of the International Horseshoe. Long corner, of course, 180 degrees. And now Gene is on the outside. Maybe David Hampson behind him also trying to make some moves. No, the outside line actually worked for Gene Fitters. More momentum. He gets a P4 position past Stefan Overgaard.
Corner 1 has been a thorn for Stefan Overgaard as he's taken the wide line through there a couple times and has cost him positions almost each time. Hartley, Kanchan, Pajan, Fittis, Overgaard, Hampson, DeForce, your front runners, but hanging in there. Pignot, Ratchey back there as well. Fike and Stevens now. 11 cars still in shouting distance of the leaders.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Erik Koeman a little bit. He's currently driving in P14. I would imagine that Erik will move his way forward. He's currently trying to close the gap to Derek Holland, but he's looking at the first few laps that we've seen here at Daytona, the big losers so far, because that start, halfway on the banking, he just couldn't control the car once the green flag dropped, and he spun towards the inside grass, and he lost so many positions. He's really doing his best to recover now, but still only in P14.
Well, he was not alone with drivers that had a hard time getting on the gas with the car on the banking like it was.
Now, an interesting thing to see is a few laps ago we almost were thinking, Bill, that Jean-Francois Prenot was losing connection to the top train, but it seems like the French driver has found connection with Bjorn de Force. And let's see if Bjorn and Jean-Francois can actually work together to close the gap towards P6 David Hampson as they're going three wide
up front. And there's a man who read the rules, Sonny Ketchum, below the double line, but that's okay there. The Italian on the top side is going to try to carry the momentum through one. Oh, he has to get off the throttle, and he gives it over to Kanchan. Pajan in second. Hartley falls back to third. Fittis and Overgaard negotiates corner 1 a little bit better that time as he's in 5th.
Yeah, let's go to the second pack at the moment as well. This is really a 9-car, 10-car battle up. There's a lot of cars basically in this pack. As we're currently seeing, that's the battle between side by side there, Bjorn de Force and Jean-Francois Prenot. It seems like the French driver actually is trying to make a move there, couldn't make it stick, but behind him is Jordi Fike fending off Kip Stevens as well. Several drivers actually, it seems like everything is bunching towards each other a little bit, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. DeForce is our leader amateur, but then it gets fun back there with Fike is in a battle right now. He's behind Tom Ratchey, a couple of veterans, but Kip Stevens right behind him. So you have Fike in amateur in 10th, Steven in amateur in 11th, Veenhoff an amateur in 12th.
Tom Ratchey finally getting past Jean-Francois Prenot. He was really pushing for that. Basically the whole infield section, you can look, you can see all the time that he has lost towards Bjorn de Force in front of them. That really didn't help Tom Ratchey that much though, because he cannot now work together with Jean-Francois Prenot, and it seems like he loses a little bit extra time towards the top 7 split.
Oh, I can read Ratchey's... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, Tom Ritchie gets an off track there for sure. I'm pretty sure he will get a slowdown penalty because he missed the first apex of the bus stop chicane. Yeah, you can see everyone just swerving by. Now this is actually really frustrating because you want the slowdown penalty to go away as soon as possible so you do not lose the draft. Luckily for him, it seems like he will stay behind Stefanov in the draft of Stefanov. As in front of Steph, they're going 3 wide over the oval section.
Yeah, what those guys back there do not need to do is race 3 wide because that guarantees they're going to lose touch with that lead draft. With Ratchie leading the train, and I thought he was hoping to get the sheriff behind him because those guys are veterans of the series. I thought that maybe Ratchie and Fike would know the unwritten rules and try to team up and work their way up to the front train. Right now, that gap is 2 seconds from DeForge back to Fike.
If we look in front of that, the battle for the top places is heating up. Sonny Kenshin lost P3 momentarily to Gene Fiddis, but got it back in the International Horseshoe. David Hampson is being put under pressure by Stefan Overgaard, who started the race, of course, in P4, but has been dropping back a little bit now, currently driving in P6. It seems like Marcelo Pagnan and Robert Hartley are putting a small gap on Sonny Kenshin. Well, they were in the infield section until Sonny Kenshin, who's, of course, very, very strong here, just uses that braking zone to immediately close down that gap towards the top 2.
And while it's always fun to lead, and of course you're in the less jeopardy of being caught up in something that isn't of your making, you're also burning more fuel up there. So the Italian driver right now doing all the work, Hartley tucks in behind. There are pit stops, and the less fuel you burn, the less fuel you have to take to get to the end of the race.
Yeah, so how it stands now, there's a top group of 7 cars at the moment, basically all the way to Björn de Vos. Behind him, Jordi Fike is leading the second group, basically consisting out of 5 cars all the way to Stef Veenhoff. But behind that, it's Erik Koeman. He is leading the third group. He's being followed by Derek Holland and Joe McDonald, who are actually in a little better of themselves.
Fike surrenders the position to Pignot. Kip Stevens in 10th, will leak like we talked about. And there's the cow car.
And it just shows how difficult it is to be as quick as your rivals here at Daytona if you do not have the draft anymore. Because Erik Koeman did have the pole. He was right between the pro drivers as well here in qualifying. But now he doesn't have the draft anymore. And because of that, he just cannot keep up or cannot close the gap to the people that he was beating quite easily in qualifying. He's just staying behind and is hoping for a mistake in front of him.
They kind of go into corner number 1, kind of in staggered position, outside, inside, outside, inside. Hartley in front now, Pajan in second. Fiddis and Kanchan side by side. It's Kanchan on the inside, he'll get that position. And that opens the door now for David Hampson. Hadn't heard much from him as he tries to get up around Gene Fiddis.
And it's almost a mirror from what happened last time around. Seems like Gene Fiddis just gives Sonny Kenshin so much space into turn 2, basically that little wiggle section that you have after turn 1, that he loses the momentum that Sonny Kenshin does have and uses to immediately take back that position. If Gene Fiddis maybe keeps the door a little bit more closed, he can stay in P3 and put maybe some pressure on Marcelo Pagnan in front of him.
The gap from 7th to 8th is definitely closing. DeForge is now about 1.5 seconds as that second group continues to try to work together.
Yeah, we saw it earlier in the race between Sonny Kenshin and Marcelo Pagnan. They were bump drafting each other. And I would almost say to that second group, like, also try to bump draft a little bit, especially in the section after the bus stop chicane. It is probably your best hope at this point to really close down the gap towards P7.
Take advantage of those cars fanning out ahead of you, going into corner number 1 too wide. That can't be the fastest way through. 1.4 seconds now between 7th and 8th. And honestly, those guys in the second pack, they really need to decide which one of them is the fastest. Get that guy out in front.
It seems like at the moment it's Jean-François Panois. He's being followed by Kip Stevens, who's second in the amateur category. Tom Ratchie is being put under pressure by Jordi Fike, pro driver and an amateur driver. Let's see actually how they're doing. It doesn't seem like Jordi Fike is really wanting to make a move there. He's very happy and content to stay behind Tom Ratchie for now.
Leaders once again get a little bit busy in corner number 1. Hartley out in front. Was Pajan taking a peek inside. Now here comes Hampson. Hampson little by little trying to work his way up in 5th. On the outside, that is Fittis. Hampson once again in position if he wants it. Fittis takes the full exit there, using all the runoff in corner exit, able to hang on.
Yeah, Fittis is trying with everything he got, but he just cannot get that P3 position. Doesn't matter if it's Panyan or Kenshin, whoever is in there, he just cannot get that position. And because he tries every time it's a turn 1, turn 2, he sets himself, leaves himself open a little bit for a move of David Hampson into the international horseshoe.
The front 7 head back out on the oval again. The most intriguing part of the race is whether the driver in 8th, Pignol, can get up there, and he's closer than he was last time. Now, 1.2 seconds. If he could get a little help from Kip, if Stevens could get up behind the French driver, give him a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, at this moment it just seems like Kip Stevens is slightly too far away to help him. And it's really Jean-François Penoy all alone. But like I said before, those 7 cars, they are kind of fighting with each other. So with every braking zone, because they're staggered, they have to brake a little bit earlier and lose more time than Jean-François Penoy, who's driving all alone. So he might not have as much draft as the drivers in front of him. Under braking, he makes up quite a bit of track position.
All right, let's jump back going through the bus stop right now. Let's look at these guys that are back in 13, 14, 15. Koeman, Holland, and Joe McDonald. Unfortunately, they have left Jeroen Ursum behind. I was hoping Jeroen could hang in there. He's just biding his time. He's got him right where he wants him.
Exactly. Unfortunately, Mick Barry behind Jeroen Ursum also couldn't follow suit. So they're the only 2 drivers that are not in a pack at the moment. But like we said before, there's really 3 different packs going on at the moment. But the heaviest battling we see at the moment on top 3 times side by side. Man, this is like they're fighting for the last lap of the race. Sonny Kenshin losing several positions, including to Stefan Overgaard and Gene Fittis. Marcelo Pagna on top at the moment. Let's see if Sonny Kenshin can get the position back to Stefan Overgaard. How hard does Stefan Overgaard want to battle there? On the outside, he leaves Sonny Kenshin a little bit of space. But on the outside, you have more momentum, and that helps Stefan Overgaard to get a position. David Hampson, we were talking about it earlier, Bill. He gets by Robert Hartley. Can he get by Sonny Kenshin as well? Side by side through the kink here. And this fighting is really allowing Gene Fittis and Marcelo Pagna in front of them to just streak away little by little bit. Robert Hartley as well, relegated to P6.
Of all those 7 up front, the guy who's working the hardest, Hampson, and maybe put Fittis in there as well, as he's really trying to get up. But how about Overgaard now has managed to get himself up into 3rd?
And look at all those colorful cars behind him. It seems like the second group has caught the lead group with all that fighting, as Jean-François Penoy is really on the rear now of Björn de Vos, trying to take away P7 from him.
Yeah, not only have they caught him, but they are actually going to make a pass here as they go side by side. Got the bus stop coming up.
There's not happening a lot this race so far. The drivers actually try to make a move before the bus stop. They usually try to do it after, but Jean-François Penoy actually does it. He will look. It's incredible driving from him though, Bill, because he was so far behind. He lacked all the things to draft, and it's really on speed alone that Jean-François Penoy just drove, like basically pulled that whole second pack towards the lead pack, and can now really mingle with the likes of Robert Hartley and the stuff. He's actually right behind Robert Hartley now.
Yeah, I agree. He did that all himself. He didn't get much help from anybody. Meanwhile, the leaders continue to do what they do, and that's fan out up front.
Ooh, pit stop as well. Gene Fittis is the first one. I actually thought like Gene is cheating there. He is going below the yellow line a little bit earlier than the rest, but that was maybe a dummy for the commentators, because Gene is the first one coming in lap 8 of the race.
Okay, Gene is notorious for doing this, but I got a question at this time. I don't think anybody came with him.
Yeah, that might actually... Oh, and he missed his pit stall as well. Well, there basically goes everything we were hoping to see if the early pit stop could help him. I doubt that it's a good idea to do that without any draft partner once you get out. You really need at least one person around you to keep up your momentum, keep up your speed. But let's see what it will help Gene Fittis. But that little mistake that he made, missing his pit stall, that will really hurt him coming out from his first stint.
Maybe he's thinking he saw what Pignot did, and maybe he's just thinking that with all the nonsense, all the horseplay going on in front, maybe I'll just go out here and run some laps by myself. Maybe I can be faster than a group that's not behaving. Well, we'll find out. Although missing your pit box is not going to help.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. That actually might be a very sound strategy. Looking at Penoir, he actually made it happen. So it could be that Fitters was thinking the same thing. But yeah, missing your pit stall, that means that will probably be a lot of extra ground he has to cover to make sure that he's still in that lead battle after everyone has made their pit stop. At the moment, though, look at Penoir and Björn de Vos. Björn is really losing connection now, being put under pressure. That's for the lead in the amateur category between Kip Stevens and Björn de Vos. Kip Stevens stays behind him. It seems like Björn de Vos is just slowly losing a little bit the connection, although here in the bus-up chicane immediately he breaks towards Jean-François Penoir and closes all that gap down immediately.
I think Penoir's the star of the show so far. What I've seen him do, he's now up to 6. He's got those big names in front of him.
And let's see who actually makes a pit stop now. We saw Gene Fitters last time around. Let's see if anyone actually comes in now. It is David Hampson who comes in. The rest of the field actually continues, but David Hampson is the second driver who will make a pit stop. Let's see where he comes out compared to Gene Fitters.
Maybe he's listening to the broadcast and he will miss his pit box as well so that he can get in the same position as Fitters. Nope, he's in there nice and smooth. No, he missed it as well. That little second, that could matter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, you're driving so quick and all the way around the oval, especially in the draft, and when you suddenly have to slow down that much for your braking, for the pit lane, actually can catch you out a little bit once you have to come to a complete halt.
Looking at Fitters, and there goes Gene. And right there is Hampson. If he can negotiate the little out of there carefully, and he's going to be a little bit behind. Oh, Fitters is going to be long away.
Actually, David Hampson was standing stationary for 3 seconds more than Gene Fitters there, so it actually might have cost him a little bit, but he surely has enough fuel now to make it to the end of the race.
Give you an idea, just so you know, Fitters was about 33 seconds behind the leader across the line that time. And our leader is Sonny Canchin. Well, for now.
At this point of the race, I would almost say to all those drivers in that the lead pack are consisting out of 10 cars. That's actually a really great battle, all the way to Stef Veenhoff, he's in the lead pack. But at this point of the race, track position is important. You have to fight your way through this pack all the way to the front, so when you're the one who decides to make a pit stop, you actually lose less time than the rest.
Now, I know that Fitters and Hampson has pulled out, but nevertheless, Jean-François Penoir now up into 5th position.
Yeah, and if he doesn't make a mistake missing his pit box, he actually might overtake both Hampson and Gene Fitters when he comes out for his pit stop. Coming in for his pit stop now, it's Robert Hartley who's coming in.
A lot of independent thinking going on this race.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it cannot stay like that for for sure. With only 10 laps to go and 9 drivers in that lead battle now. Robert Hartley making to his pits, and let's see, he is coming to a halt behind him. Yeah, Derek Hollett and Joe McDonald as well behind him, coming in for the pit stop. Those were 2 of the drivers in that 3-car battle between them and Erik Koeman. Robert Hartley is still standing stationary. Gene Fitters is coming now over the start-finish line. Yeah, it seems like Robert Hartley has them covered though. Robert Hartley coming out there just behind Mick Berry. They will maybe help him a little bit as well. Some extra draft. Well, not a Mick Berry. There's a slight mistake there in the International Horseshoe. He immediately lets Robert Hartley by. But he is around 2 seconds in front of Gene Fitters and David Hampson. Actually, it might be that he will be able to break away the draft towards the pair.
Good news for Hartley is in a little bit he's going to get up on the back of Ursum, and that may help him get a little bit of speed going on. Pit stops have got to be coming here pretty soon.
Yeah, I imagine as well. We're basically at the halfway point, or we're over the halfway point of the race. So drivers really have to choose now to make their pit stop, and I think they will be very busy on pit lane soon. 4-car battle now going into the bus stop chicane. Björn de Vos had lost a little bit of position towards Jean-François Pernod. Gains a little bit of track position under braking, but he's not as close as he was the last few laps around.
You see as we ride off the back of Kenshin, way back there, they're beginning to lose touch as Stevens and Ratchy now are bump drafting, trying to game up. Here comes the Asbury Motorsports driver right up on the back, coming in.
Pernod and Overgaard, and I think Overgaard actually might have been too hot going into the pit lane because he hit the little pylon on the outside of the pit lane coming in. That's not really a move that you would do if you can slow down on time.
We're going to take a look at that on replay. Ratchy and Venhoff also coming in. We'll know soon enough if Overgaard gets to roll with the rest of these guys or if he has to pay a penalty. First to roll is Pignat. And he's going to come out right alongside. Well, that's Ursum. Where is Hartley?
Hartley is just behind them. You could see there on the replay of Overgaard missing a little bit the braking zone there and hitting the pylon.
Yeah.
But he did have a good pit stop though, because he comes out quite comfortably in front of Robert Hartley. Jean-François Pernod is the big winner now. He is the lead driver of all the drivers that have made the pit stop. But this makes me a little bit worried though. If the gap of Pernod and Overgaard is this big compared to Robert Hartley, I think that the drivers who haven't made a pit stop yet will actually be quite comfortably in front of these drivers when they come in.
And all of a sudden, fan favorite Jeroen Ursum becomes an integral part of this battle as he's there in 8th position. Has yet to make a stop in his pink McDonald's machine.
Yeah. Pernod is really quick at this moment though. Being separated between him is Jeroen Ursum. Stefan Overgaard will get by him. Robert Hartley as well. Tom Ratchy and Gene Fidders. Tom Ratchy, who also made his pit stop, also from that lead car battle. They've fallen away as well from the rear of Robert Hartley. It seems like those drivers for sure have lost the draft towards those top 3 drivers that have come.
So up in front now, it's Kanchan and Pignat all by themselves. It's got to be time. Let's see their teammates. I would think they would come in together.
Yeah.
Sonny does. And so does Marcello. Careful. We go side by side. Fike and Stevens also come in. Somebody had to stay out. Oh, it's Bjorn.
Bjorn de Vos going for the lead there. Little nice posturing there from Marcelo Pagnan, who tried to almost overtake Sonny Kanchan under braking for the pit lane. Oh, Sonny Kanchan missed his pit stall. Yes, Sonny Kanchan missed his pit stall there. That will lose him valuable positions because Pagnan is already done now with the tires. Let's see when he gets underway. He gets underway. Sonny Kanchan is still standing still. And these are very painful seconds now. Yeah, everyone is streaming by on the outside.
And your leader is going to be, it looks like it's going to be Hartley, as he was able to get around Pignat, and Fajan is in there now in the mix. Overgaard is going to be in 3rd. Of course, there's still 1 car yet to pit. Basically, your virtual leader is Hartley. Where is Sonny Kanchan? He's back in that other pack, isn't he?
He is P12 at this moment, P11 if you take away Bjorn de Vos, who hasn't made a pit stop yet, but Sonny Kanchan has dropped 11 positions in the pit stop cycle.
4 cars up front, Hartley, Pignat, Overgaard, and Pajan. It's about 2.3 seconds back to Tom Ratchy. The Bay State Hammer has some work to do as he sits, I'm going to call it 5th. Because I know that DeForce is going to come in real soon.
What a hornet's nest Tom Ratchy is leading, with Gene Fidders and Stefanov calmly behind him. But behind that is David Hampson leading a 3-wide battle between Kip Stevens, Sonny Kanchan and Jordi Fike. Kip Stevens actually doesn't want to give Sonny Kanchan way, but very naughtily Sonny Kanchan is putting his nose in. He's putting his left wheels on that yellow line that we talked about before. I couldn't see if those were actually going over the yellow line or not. But it seems like he gives Kip Stevens that position back as they go into the bus stop chicane. But Sonny Kenshin knows that every moment that he stays behind these cars that are arguably a little bit slower than he could be, he's losing very valuable time to Robert Hartley and the other drivers that are in the lead pack.
And I want to point out something for Kanchin's position right now. I talked about the rationed point system. This comes to hurt him right now. Being 11th in a field of 17, well, that's the back half of the... Oh, is he? I guess he's past the painted area, so he can go down there. But there are not a lot of points down here right now in 11th in this field.
Absolutely not. And with every position that you go down here, man, that will cost you something like 10 points almost with every position that you lose. He gets by Kip Stevens, however. Björn de Vos, we just saw him on screen coming into the pits. He's coming out right alongside Tom Retchie and Gene Fiddis. He's really being thrown in the battle on cold new tires there. Ooh, Gene Fiddis with a little wiggle. David Hampson as well, just throwing his car on the inside, trying to get by Björn de Vos. He also gets passed by Stef Veenhoff now. Man, the term Hornet's Nest is really not doing it justice here, because all these drivers are really going for track position before anything else.
The interval from 4th to 5th. It's down about 0.2 of a second. Ratchie doing his very best to get up there. The second train goes all the way back to Jordy Fike in 12th. It's 19 seconds back to Holland, Koolman, and McDonald. We'll check on them on the last lap, see how that plays out.
Sonny Kenshin winning another position, this time on Stef Veenhoff on the inside of the banking. Red and white car of the Dutch driver just had a that exit out of turn 6. Loses a position. In front of him is still side-by-side going on as well between Gene Fiddis and Tom Ratchie. Gene Fiddis is blinking away a little bit.
For luckily, me too.
Yeah, luckily. Yeah, Tom Ratchie lifted because of that, and that's actually really smart, because you do not want to be basically colliding in the middle of the corner if Gene Fiddis suddenly returns to the track.
I think these two guys like each other, Fiddis and Ratchie. I think there's a little choreography going on here too. Look for Ratchie to get a good run, and maybe even Hampson as well. Get a little bump drafting. I think they're not even going to fight the position. They'll just go up here, see if Ratchie can pick up a little momentum. 3 wide, maybe not the best way to gain to the guys in front.
No, but I don't think that David Hampson is looking at the cars in front at that moment. He seemed like he wanted track position basically the last few laps, and he's trying his best now to get there. But he cannot get by Tom Ratchie. Almost collides with him there. Oh, and he really has to step on the brakes and loses 2 positions there immediately to Fiddis and Kenshin.
He was trying to turn down in as if he didn't see Tom there and said, oh, where? Oh, my goodness. And then twisted the wheel to the right to avoid contact. They lost time now. They've lost about 0.4 of a second to the Frenchman in 4th. Jean has taken over the lead over Hartley.
Battle going on there as well for the lead in the amateur category. Kip Stevens getting by Björn de Vos. Björn being immediately put under pressure by Jordy Fike and Stef Veenhoff. Top 4 of that category also just under a blanket, just as the pro drivers are.
Kenshin was at 11th a while ago. He just gets around Fiddis, now up into 6th. And it might be in Tom Ratchie's best interest to let Kenshin get around him and see what the man who qualified 2nd can do about running out on the front guy. 6 laps to go. If they're gonna catch these front 4, they better get to it right now.
And there's 3 seconds between Sonny Kenshin and Jean-Francois Prenois with basically 5 laps left now. He means that he has to win around 0.6 of a second per lap to really catch those top drivers and have a shot at the pole position.
And you got 2 really smart drivers up in front that understand what's going on. Pajan and Hartley right now, as they go side by side, but this is as much of a dance as it is a race. As Hartley had a good run.
Absolutely. Well, this time it's Robert Hartley taking command of that dance. And he gets in front of Marcelo Pagnan this time around. Jean-François seems to be losing a little bit of connection. I think that under braking he will be able to catch up, as Tom Ritchie actually almost puts Sonny Kenshin under pressure there on the rundown towards turn 1. He had a little look on the outside, left the door open, and that means that Gene Fittis get by.
Fittis, Ritchie fighting back now for that 6th position. Looking on is David Hampson.
Big fighting going on for P2 in the amateur category. Björn de Vos and Jordi Fike. Jordi Fike on the inside there of the International Horseshoe. He gets by Björn de Vos. Björn really... Oh, there's a car going around. That is David Hampson.
Our first real incident of the race.
Just too much momentum, trying to take too much speed out of the International Horseshoe, and the little tires, little rubber tires under the Mazda MX-5 set. That's all enough. Oh, Björn de Vos as well into the wall.
Can we get when we get a replay, if we can go on board when it's all done with de Vos, who kind of got scared off onto the grass and actually lost it. Now there's Hampson going off. That one wasn't so bad. It was de Vos who kind of got nervous. There he goes into the wall.
Oh, and that will hurt Björn de Vos quite a bit, because he now has front nose damage, and especially with this large oval sections, that will hurt his top speed quite a bit. Björn de Vos, man, that's a heartbreak for Björn Soep, because he was leading the amateur class basically all race long. Now he's only sitting in P4.
Hartley, Pajan, Overgaard go through the bus stop.
Last time,
losing touch.
Yeah, last time around the gap between Benoit and Kenshin was 3 seconds. This time around it's 2.5 seconds. So it seems like Sonny Kenshin is closing the gap to the French driver, but he's doing it maybe not as quick as he would like to really have a chance in one of those podium positions. If he keeps this speed up, he will catch Jean-François Benoit before the end of the race, but not one of the 3 drivers up front that are going free wide over the oval section.
They are indeed. Benoit might end up being a stepping stone for Kenshin to get up to these guys, but he's got to hustle. They are fighting into corner number 1. On the inside is Pajan. On the outside in the white and blue machine, that is Overgaard. Not able to hang in. The Hartley takes in second. Great run from Stefan Overgaard.
Yeah, he almost got that P1 position. Well, he got a P1 position for around 100 meters. Then he had to give way to both Hartley and Pagnan again. He almost lost it there on the outside of turn 1, but he could keep his car straightened out. And Benoit has found connection once again to those other drivers. And I think that Sonny Kenshin has as well, because this fighting is really helping Sonny Kenshin to make sure that he can have a fighting chance in the last lap of the race. And not only Sonny Kenshin will have a fighting chance at the end of the race, but all those drivers behind him as well, because it's really follow the leader now in that second gap, because Gene Fittis, Ritchie, Kip Stevens, Fike, Steph Feinhoff, all these drivers are just following Sonny Kenshin and are following him towards the lead group.
The lead group out onto the oval now, led by Pajan. Going underneath this time is Hartley. I think the Italian driver actually pulled over and let Hartley go underneath the fastest way through. Overgaard watching on in the 14 machine in third.
Yeah, that's how you help each other in the draft here at Daytona. You can see that the driver behind us has a good run, especially those first meters outside on the exit of turn 6 are very important, and you give him a little bit of extra speed. And once he's really catching up with you, you just move out of the way, he gets past, and you immediately dive into his draft once again after that, so you can keep up the momentum. You can see that now
they do it again.
The favor being returned there. Robert Hartley giving the position back to Marcelo Pagnan. These drivers are really keeping an eye on Sonny Kenshin now and working together to keep up the speed as much as possible.
You read my mind. That is exactly what they're doing. Oh, look at this. The Frenchman has to come in. Well, when you're 2 seconds faster than everybody else, there's a reason for that, and you didn't take enough fuel. Oh, and a spin in corner number 1. Going in, it is Ritchie.
Oh, yeah, Tom Ritchie got a little bump there from Gene Fittis. And also Jordi Fike has been caught out by that. It seems like Gene Fittis, Jordi Fike can continue, but Tom Ritchie, oh, it seems like his day is over.
Fittis got into the back of Ritchie, then Fike got into the back of Fittis.
Oh yeah, Gene Fitters just didn't anticipate Tom Ritchie braking slightly earlier than he was planning to, and he just loops the US driver around. And Tom Ritchie immediately retired from the race. Both Jody Fike as well, an unlucky bystander in that incident. He can fortunately continue. Gene Fitters can continue as well, but both lose several positions to some of the amateur drivers behind them.
Talk about those amateur drivers. Kip Stevens now up to 5th. Going to be big points for him. Dayhoff in 6th, right behind him.
And that's the thing, Kip Stevens isn't home yet. This is still a race for the victory in the Amateur Championship. And not only that, it's a race for P5 overall as well. I wouldn't count out Stefanov, because if he can stay behind Kip Stevens, especially in that last lap with all the draft going on, he's in a great position to get the victory in that class.
Hartley and Pajan continue to dance as they continue to put in fast laps. Overgaard in the popcorn position watching them, but I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit worried that Stefan is losing touch, especially the way that Hartley and Pajan are racing right now. They're turning this into a two-man battle.
Just a quick update, we don't have to go to him, but Jean-Francois Penoir, we saw him make a pit stop. He's currently driving around the P11. He's just overtaken by Erik Koeman. So the French driver who was fighting for podium position is now fighting his hardest to stay in the top 10.
And after that concertina incident that we saw between Ritchie, Fittis, and Fike, Fittis and Fike stay out. They race in 7th. We're looking at 1 lap to go this time around. Stefan Overgaard saying, "Don't count me out yet, Soup. I'm still in the hunt." Johan, you can win for 3rd here, can't you? If you're close enough.
Absolutely, but you have to set yourself up at this point of the race, because with only 2 more laps to go, man, track position is getting more and more important. I want to be in the position that Robert Hartley is in now going into the last lap.
And if we look at those 3 back markers there, we're going to give the trip back marker shout out here at these guys. And who are we looking at right now? That's Barry back there in, oh, and somebody just blew an inch in as we do this. Ursum back here in 16th as well. And in 15th, and DeForge back there. DeForge just blew an engine, though. There he is. That's a quick trip back marker shout out.
Basically, battles going on all around the track at the moment. There's just little packs of forms basically everywhere. Kip Stevens is trying a move, or is being put under pressure by Stefanov. Now remember, this is also for the lead in the amateur category. Sonny Kenshin is driving away from them. But as you see on screen, the top 3 is going strong. Robert Hartley is being sandwiched by Marcelo Pagnan and Stefan Overgaard. Only 1 more time after this, they will go over this NASCAR turn 3, turn 4 section for the victory. Really setting themselves up now. Let's see where Robert Hartley wants to be going into the last lap. He's actually getting by Marcelo Pagnan at this moment. I wouldn't be surprised if Stefan Overgaard tries the same move. It actually seems like the Scandinavian driver chooses to stay behind for now. He doesn't want to get P2 or P1 now. He wants to really attack this last lap from the 3rd position.
They go down into the first corner, which has been Overgaard's weak point, but he gets that much stronger. You got Hartley, the American driver. You have Marcelo Pagnan, the Italian driver. And we believe that Stefan Overgaard is a Dane back there in 3rd. They work through the International Horseshoe now.
Yeah, going out there, this is not really one of the positions that I would expect them to make an overtaking maneuver. It's probably going to be outside of the infield section on the oval, but this is really where you do not want to make any mistakes. It's so difficult though to really brake on right exactly the perfect position there. Get your car slowed down just in time. Keep it as quick through the corners as your rivals there. Robert Hartley is leading them here in turn 6 out of the infield section onto the oval. Marcelo Pagnan isn't that far behind, but Stefan Overgaard is just losing 2 free car lengths coming out of turn 6.
Overgaard might be close enough now if he can get a good run here as they head towards the bus stop. Overgaard back in 3rd, about a half second back. The drivers in front, will they fight or will they dance? You can tell right now if Hartley moves up and lets Pajan get underneath him, you know that they're dancing. If he keeps that tight inside line, you know they're fighting. Pajan didn't even want that position as they head down into the bus stop. This is allowing Overgaard to get back in the mix. As he's about 3 car lengths back, he'll want to get a good run out of the bus stop if he has any hope of getting these guys before they get to the finish line. Hartley leads. Here comes the run from the Italian driver, Pajan. Hartley's going to keep the car down low, make Pajan do it the long way around. He starts to inch up. They are now Cialis bathtubs. Now the momentum from Pajan, but they are punching a huge hole, and here comes Overgaard. He's got to run. Does he have any move? Overgaard now gets to the outside of Hartley. I think he's going to run out of time. Here comes Hartley down the middle. Pajan takes the short line to the finish line. It's going to be 3 wide. It is Pajan, Hartley, and Overgaard.
Sonny Kenji finishes P4 behind him. Let's see if there's another battle going on. I think the best battle that we see behind them is between Jean-François Penot and Eric Koeman. That's the one for P10 overall. Let's see who is the last driver in the top 10. It is Jean-François Penot being caught by Eric Koeman behind. This is also, if Eric Koeman finishes here, he will finish P3 in the Amateur Championship. This race, he takes the outside, long way around Jean-François Penot, and he gets it. That's P10 for Eric Koeman here at Daytona.
And behind them, there's a battle at the line as Joe McDonald nips Derek Holland. Finishing up on the lead lap, Jeroen Ursum and Mick Berry. Woo! Well, we told you in the pre-race that we would expect a photo finish, and we got one. Congratulations to Marcelo Pajan for picking up the win. We'll take a short break. We'll come back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of these drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the MX-5 World Tour, brought to you by Heusinkveld. This is round number 7 from Daytona. And it's time to talk about the Sim News Wrap-Up Show. Sim News is one of the first, Sim Sport News is one of the first dedicated sim racing news websites that covers dedicated sim racing in a dedicated series on iRacing, ran by Jacob Tuff and Gianni Cantier. The Sim Sport News race team competes in many official iRacing series, as well as the one that you just watched. For more information, go to simsportnews.com. Now, let's go to the Sim Sport News finishing order, and we'll give you the winner. Yes, it was indeed. Picks up his second career win. Marcelo Pajan just ahead of Robert Hartley by 7. Let's see if I can figure out my decimal points here. 1/1000th of a second. Stefan Overgaard was only 5/100ths of a second back from the leader as they finished 3 wide across the line. Sonny Kenshin, he was as far back as 11th. He's going to get 4th place points. That's going to help. Steph Wienhoff is our first top amateur driver ahead of amateur leader Kip Stevens. Jordy Fike, another amateur, is going to be 3rd in class, 7th overall. Gene Fittis, who apologized to Tom Ratchey for the bump going into corner number 1, comes home in 8th. 9th position for David Hampson. And the man in the cow car, Eric Coleman, in 10th. Johan?
Yeah, just behind Eric Koeman there is Jean-François Benoit, the driver from France, who basically was fighting for podium position all race long, only comes home in P11 in the end. Joe McDonald had a nice fight with Derek Holland in the latter parts of the race, and he comes home 300ths of a second in front of Holland in P12. P14, Jeroen Oersum is the last driver on the lead lap, and then Mick Berry is the first driver 1 lap down, and we saw 2 retirements in the form of Björn de Vos in P16 and Tom Ratchey in 17th position.
Okay, I am happy to go ahead and talk with the man who used to be part of the GSRC family, and that's Stefan Overgaard. He's been a longtime member of the MWT, was so close to getting his first win. Stefan, I had to play it straight, but truth be told, I was pulling for you.
Well, thank you.
Just a little too far back coming out of the bus stop to get it done?
Yeah, I just mistimed it. I was actually holding up a bit in the bus stop to get the best run, but haven't done this too much, this car, so mistimed it.
You had to figure from 3rd spot. You had a chance at it, though. Were you thinking, I might just get this win?
Yeah, I actually thought I could have a good shot at it. At the end, I wasn't sure if I could take the low side. I couldn't remember what the rules were when we could go down there, so I had to go high and didn't have enough pace going around.
Couple scary incidents early on into turn 1 where you got caught way on the outside, but it worked out okay for you.
Yeah, it didn't feel so scary in the car. Just played it safe and kept my distance. Actually, I don't think I was really in any danger through the race. And then just timed the pit stop and had good on fuel save, so that made me keep up with that leader pack.
Well, it was great to see you racing up front. That's where you belong. Congratulations. Good luck the rest of the way. I know you've put in a lot of races this season, so let's keep it going.
Thank you.
Stefan Overgaard, 3rd place today on the smallest podium, but nevertheless, I think that might just be a career best for him. All right, Johan, who you got?
Ja, I got the winner in the amateur category, Stef Veenhoff. Stef, van harte gefeliciteerd with your win out there today.
Dankjewel.
That was a great race from you and a great finish. You really set yourself up with that final lap battle with Kip Stevens. How did you really process that? What was really your strategy going into that last lap?
My strategy was just stay behind and hope I would get a good run out of the bus stop, but that happened, so.
Awesome to see. Well, you got by him in the end. One of the things I also noticed was the start of the race. You had to start on the banking. How difficult was it to get that MX-5 going? Because I remember seeing a red and white car quite quick.
I got it going. Just the wrong way around, but didn't lose me too much. So in the end, it was all fine.
Very good. Well, we had a great race here at Daytona. Next week we go to a slightly different track. We go to Mosport. How are your chances there? Do you prefer these big roval tracks, or do you prefer a slightly more technical track like Mosport?
I prefer slightly more technical. My strategy today was just to run around the back and wait until the final lap to make some moves. So I'd rather race at Mosport.
Very good. Well, it worked out, your strategy, in the end, because you're the one coming home P5 overall and with the win in the amateur category. Enjoy the champagne, Steph, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
That was Stefanov, the driver that we saw winning the amateur category, Bill.
I tend to agree with Steph. While Daytona was fun and it certainly was exciting, the race fan in me wants to see these guys work a little harder when we go up to Mosport, and you won't want to miss that. Hey, we'd like to thank everybody that makes this possible, starting with Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organizing the series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. Thanks to Heusinkveld. It was thought that affordable simulation software and hardware was of limited use for race teams and drivers, but Heusinkveld's solution brings professional simulations within budgetary reach of anyone without having to compromise on realism and engineering value. Heusinkveld offers a broad array of products and services, such as advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware. They're able to simulate any combination of race car and track, including a full-fledged cockpit environment with realism that is unparalleled. Heusinkveld solutions are currently being used by professional race teams and drivers in Formula Ford, GP3, Formula 2, and Formula 1. Now these products are available to any team and driver looking for an edge in racing. Be a better race car driver. Get in touch today at Heusinkveld.com. We would also like to thank the people at SimSport News for their help in sponsoring the wrap-up show. Thanks to the companies, equipment, and software that you see on the screen right now that we use on the broadcast. The original music you've heard today is courtesy of Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde. See the screen to how to contact each of them. The Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour returns for round 8 in 1 week, November 25th from Canada, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. We hope you join us. Sliding across the screen now are some of the companies, some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or check us out on social media. You have lots of choices. Twitter at GSRC Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Also, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by hitting that big red button on our YouTube page. And finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Johan, Joe, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching, and congratulations to Marcelo Fajan, who picks up his second career MWT win. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.